How would you describe Milwaukee to someone who has never been here before?
I think what I would say is this is the only place in America where you can be 1,000 miles from the ocean and 4 blocks from the beach. The quality of life in this great city is hard to overstate.
Welcome to the one and only Panther Tracks. Here at Panther Tracks, we aim to connect UW Milwaukee and neighboring communities to their city and the wonders that lie within it through the stories we tell. We hope that you will join us on this wonderful adventure left by the tracks of panthers that have discovered the world before us. Welcome back, our wonderful listeners. This is one of your hosts, Chris, and today I am pleased to tell you about the new era of this podcast, formerly known as the Panther Planet Podcast, and now the one and only Panther Tracks. Big thanks to Anne and Lynn and the Golda Meir Library Audio Studio for making this possible. Not only do we have a great new name, but also a brand new team, and I am dying for you to meet them. This is Chris, and I am, as of right now, a junior at UWM. I've been in Milwaukee for what now will be 2 years, and I've loved this city ever since I set foot in it. Not only for the wonderful things to see and the food to try, but also the company has been nothing but great. I am a lover of stories of any sort, and curiosity happens to be my Achilles heel, and I can't wait to dive in with all of you to learn about this wonderful place and its stories.
Hi everyone, my name is Neda. I'm a senior studying English and psychology. I've lived in Milwaukee my whole life and have always appreciated the small town feel the city has. As a Palestinian American, carrying different perspectives has made me constantly curious about other people's backgrounds, traditions, and experiences. I can't wait to highlight everyone's special voices and stories together on the podcast.
Hey everybody, my name's Grace and I'm a senior this year at UWM. I'm studying in the Journalism, Advertising, and Media Studies program, and this is my 3rd year living in Milwaukee. I love finding new people and places to visit in this wonderful city. For as long as I can remember, I've been obsessed with community storytelling and cannot wait to bring global stories in Milwaukee to light.
Hi everyone, my name is Patricia and I'm from Nigeria. I'm a junior studying psychology at UWM. I transferred here last fall, so I'm still exploring Milwaukee, but it's already become one of my favorite cities. I'm passionate about sharing stories that celebrate the diverse experiences of people from all walks of life. I'm really excited for today's episode, and I know my co-hosts are too, so let's dive right in.
Today we have a very exciting episode. We're talking about the history and purpose of the National Resource Center Title VI programs, the UWM specifics, and why UWM received the NRC. Also the importance of programs for students and faculty, K-12 educators regarding foreign language and international learning, and a wonderful interview with Jason Pushkard. Now, let's take a little bit of a detour, not through Milwaukee streets, but into the history of something that quietly shapes the way we connect with the world today. It's a story about how education, curiosity, and even a little competition has played a role in opening global perspectives. Let's rewind the clock to 1957.
From the President's office in the White House in Washington, D.C., we present an address by the President of the United States, Dwight D. Eisenhower.
It's the height of the Cold War, and the Soviet Union stuns the world by launching Sputnik, the first artificial satellite. In the U.S., this wasn't just a technological wake-up call, it was a call to action in education as well.
After putting these facts and requirements before you, I shall propose a program of action, a program that will demand the energetic support of not just the government, but every American, if we are to make it successful.
The government realized that to lead on the world stage, it wasn't enough to focus on science and math. We also needed to understand the languages, cultures, and dynamics of other regions.
But what does the Soviet Union have to do with the NRC?
Funny you ask. Here enters the National Defense Education Act of 1958. This initiative laid the foundation for what we now know as the National Resource Center, aka NRC program. It was created under Title VI of the Higher Education Act of 1965, which later would be housed by the Department of Education, established in 1980. Over time, as the world became more interconnected, the focus of this program expanded, no longer just about national security, but about fostering global understanding in academia, business, and beyond.
So, the NRC took over the program from the National Defense, but what exactly does the NRC program even do for higher education and UWM?
Well, imagine a network of centers of excellence at universities across the country. These centers specialize in languages and areas of study, serving as resources for teaching, research, and tackling the world's most pressing global issues. Here's how they do it. First, they dive deep into specific regions, offering language courses and cultural studies that go far beyond the basics. Second, they integrate international perspectives into professional fields, think law, healthcare, and engineering, so that students can carry global awareness into their careers. And third, and perhaps most importantly, they focus on critical global challenges like climate change or international conflict, equipping us with the tools to address them. I think it is a very fascinating example of how education can bridge gaps, whether those gaps are between nations or simply between our understandings on the wider world.
Thanks, Chris, for really explaining the background of the NRC. To really understand why UWM received the NRC grant, we need to look at the educational landscape in Milwaukee. Today, we interviewed our boss's boss, the principal investigator of the NRC Title VI grant, Jason Pushkar.
My name is Jason Pushkar.
He is a professor of English and associate dean for the humanities at the College of Letters and Science.
Where did you come from originally before Milwaukee?
I grew up in Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the Midwest still, but like
in
pretty...
the Midwest, but I had a few stops in between.
Yeah.
So I was also an international student at one point. I lived in England for 2 years, but it was a great pleasure to come back to the Midwest.
What makes students at UWM within the Global and International Studies programs choose UWM and its community? Why is it so special?
Well, we're an R1 research university, which already sets us apart. There's only about 100 R1 research universities, so they have the opportunity to work with some of the top faculty in the world. And the projects they're going to work on, the access to undergraduate research is something you really can't get at a lot of other universities that aren't R1. So I think that that's probably one big appeal. With that top faculty comes a lot of access to international research, travel, and work. And so a lot of my colleagues here at UWM, they work abroad, they research abroad, they're traveling the world all the time. And when you work with professors like that, I think you have really rare access to the world just through your day-to-day instruction.
Can you tell us a little bit about the International NRC Title VI grant program at UWM?
So the Title VI NRC grant is something established by the Department of Education many decades ago, and it is designed to support primarily language proficiency in college students so that they can better serve the national interest in careers ranging from diplomacy to national intelligence, all of the different things that involve working overseas. And so the NRC grant is on a 4-year cycle. We receive funding over 4 years, and we receive quite a bit of it, well over $1 million, spread over 4 years. And that money is meant to be put to use directly to help generate more and better teaching and learning in the languages.
The university plays a really important role in global education. It connects students and educators to international opportunities and prepares students like us and the upcoming generation for an increasingly interconnected world.
It's also a way to reach students well before they're college students and to try to recruit them into careers that involve international work. You know, many students aren't aware that that's an option when they're in 7th or 8th grade, right, or even in high school. And so we put a significant amount of work at UWM into reaching our K through 12 education partners so that their students can see around the next curve and realize this might be a career that's right for them as well.
Right. And a huge part of that is the MPS school, Milwaukee Public School District, correct?
Exactly.
UWM's Institute of World Affairs, also called the IWA, has partnered with Milwaukee Public Schools to enhance their civics curriculum by including global perspectives and teaching skills for addressing global and local challenges. The Institute of World Affairs is also connected with the University of Minnesota's Institute for Global Studies to train teachers in Wisconsin and Minnesota. This training will help educators incorporate global perspectives into their classrooms, not just in civics, but across various subjects, encouraging students to develop civic skills and take informed action on issues. The initiative will also support youth programs that inspire students to engage with global challenges.
Data from 2021 shows big disparities in college graduation rates. 58% of white students end a degree or certificate within 6 years, but only 35% of Hispanic students and 19% of Black students did the same. The Institute of World Affairs was founded in 1960 to provide community outreach, and is currently Wisconsin's only World Affairs Council. The Institute of World Affairs and the Center for International Education work together to create a community network that serves K-16 students, educators, and the public. The Institute of World Affairs is also nationally and internationally praised for its inclusive public and K-12 programs that reach over 2,000 individuals annually through its programs, which enables students early on to engage locally and globally with issues that affect their lives.
And then I know you already touched on this a little bit, but could you give a specific student example of what the NRC grant kind of, let's say a specific student experience, and that can be a study abroad experience, that can be language research experience. Could you just provide an example of?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'll give you a couple actually.
Sure.
So we had in last spring, I believe, we had an amazing event where our partners in the Institute of World Affairs brought in almost 100 middle and high school students for a day-long session with a survivor of the Rwandan genocide.
Wow.
Many of these were students who, if they go to college, will be first-generation college students. Many of them were from our large Hmong community in Milwaukee.
UWM enrolls more Wisconsin students and more Milwaukee public school students than any other UW institution. Its student population is characterized by first-generation college students, adult and returning students, and graduates of low-income school districts.
And I believe many of them probably hadn't been on a college campus before. They had a really stimulating, enlightening day with an extraordinary person who shared their experiences, and they got to think about the world in a bigger way.
The IWA has many workshops focused on Milwaukee Public School high school students to have a chance to connect with international business professionals and explore related global careers. Even UWM's School of Education is expanding language and cultural programs for local youth and families with the aim to reduce barriers and encourage more students to participate in Milwaukee Public School language programs.
We hope that down the line some of those students will remember this and come to UWM, and if not UWM, let's hope they go somewhere else, but also keep those international perspectives in mind and incorporate it into their own career goals.
Coming into this, like doing the research on what the NRC is and just generally was kind of confusing, right? So like learning about all of these new opportunities, because from what my understanding formerly was that this grant is operational to send people abroad and do that language stuff, but it really is a lot about community organizing and providing with students with opportunities to learn here as well.
Absolutely. And I would say that this podcast is another example of that. We're thrilled that we have the resources to hire a bunch of smart students from UWM who are already interested in international and global issues, and then to let them develop ideas and programming that they want, and then to use this podcast to share that out with the rest of the campus community and even beyond. If you have enough money to travel the world with your parents when you're young, I think that's great, and you'll get a global perspective that's hard to replace. But let's face it, how many students actually have that advantage?
Right.
That's a kind of privilege that most people just don't enjoy. One of the things that a grant like this does is it helps bring the world a little closer to students at a formative moment when they're making choices and they're forming ideas about what they want to do with the rest of their lives. And I think that without the NRC grant, we would really struggle to do that. So our great partners at the Institute of World Affairs do so much of our outreach to K-12 students. Since just 2018, that's the beginning of our last grant period, I think they've reached something like 7,500 people. And my guess is half of those are probably students and high school teachers and middle school teachers. And so all of those students, all those teachers have had access to a window on the world that otherwise would be impossible to have or prohibitively expensive, but thanks to grants like this and the programming that all of our partners here put on, students can see around that next corner and think about maybe this is a kind of career trajectory that really would be right for me.
So within these grants, there are priorities available for study abroad programs in critical taught languages. And if you don't know what critically taught language is, that refers to a foreign language that's considered really important for a country's national security and economic prosperity. So when we're thinking about languages like that, we think about the business languages like Japanese, Chinese, Arabic, Portuguese, all huge countries that we do a lot of international business with.
UWM is working to close these gaps by providing opportunities for all students to thrive in a global society. It's very rare and unique that UWM received the International NRC grant because it's one of only 12 institutions in the US recognized as a Title VI National Resource Center. This designation underscores UWM's leadership in teaching modern world languages and global studies, among other universities such as Stanford and Georgia Tech, which is really cool.
These programs play a huge role in the global education offices at UWM. Every student who is involved with study abroad experiences, language research, or scholarship opportunities gains stories created and enhanced by these grants and initiatives. This was really where we can start to see the benefit of global competence traveling back to Milwaukee. Personally, I've never been out of the States, so I'm not exactly an expert when it comes to international education and travel, but I have absolutely seen how someone's educational, cultural, and personal perspectives shift after enrolling in these study programs. Earlier, when I was talking about enhancing the global competency of students, and we'll stick to the Milwaukee community, those perspective shifts is really what the focus is. By funding NRCs, the programs aim to develop the pool of experts with a deep knowledge of foreign languages and international affairs, essential for addressing global challenges and promoting cross-cultural understanding. It's a real trying on the other person's shoes sort of challenge. The language programs at UWM, and also in research settings, are still not as commonly promoted, I would say, as other STEM fields and research in science and business. It's also worth mentioning that this program conserves Native American languages. In Milwaukee, we're on traditional Potawatomi, Ho-Chunk, and Menominee homeland, so it only makes sense. It's interesting to think about because even as students majoring in not language-oriented fields, I had to take ASL, which is American Sign Language, for 2 semesters. It was very, very interesting. And I had a lot of other peers of mine have to take a language requirement no matter their major. So it really just goes to show how much this grant and these initiatives touch every student who does come to UWM, whether they're international or going abroad or involved with the global offices at all. You are somehow a part of this program, and that's how it affects you as a UWM student.
Our mission at Panther Tracks aims to connect UW Milwaukee and neighboring communities to their city by uniting them with the power of a collective Milwaukee. This podcast explores the 414 area to gain a better understanding of life, the communal love for the city, and global experiences held by the people who make this such a wonderful place to live.
Listener feedback means a lot to us, and we would love to hear it. Do you have any ideas for a story, or are you a student involved with the International Department of Education? Please email us at panthertracks-group@uwm.edu.